look at all these quadcopters that I have. Why do I have all these quadcopters? The answer is the DJI O4 Lite. DJI O4 Lite is DJI's lightweight video transmitter. It's small enough to go into a little 75mm, 85mm, 2-inch Cinewhoop. I don't even know if I held up the right ones. It's small enough to go into smaller quadcopters than was feasible with DJI's previous generation of video transmitters. And so I've got a big old armful of quadcopters from FlyWoo and BetaFPV. And, well, honestly, we're just going to try them all out and see which ones are... Oh, I know the YouTube thing is to say which ones are best, but really, we're just going to try them all out and see what we think of them. I'm Joshua Bardwell. You're going to learn something today. This is the FlyWoo Flylens 85, and the reason we're looking at it right now is to acknowledge that there have been micro drones in the past with a DJI video transmitter in them. This has the DJI O3 video transmitter in it, and if you want an even better flying drone, here is the naked O3 air unit. FlyWoo has taken the metal case off of it, which makes it lighter and also significantly more fragile. Well, if the Flylens 85 was one of the first drones to put an O3 air unit into an 85mm drone, then it kind of makes sense that the first drone in this roundup is the Flylens 85 with the DJI O4 air unit in it. And FlyWoo has made what I think is going to be a little bit of a controversial choice here by putting the O4 Pro, not the O4 Lite. The O3 was already pretty heavy for an 85mm, and I kind of didn't like how it flew. I loved how the naked O3 flew. We should compare the weight of the full-size O3 and the naked O3 to the full-size O4 and see how they stack up. And we'll totally do that. But hold on. What else is in this roundup? This is the FlyBee 1.6. This is a 1.6-inch open prop drone, and I am maybe more excited about this than anything else in this roundup. I loved how FlyWoo's previous generation of 1.6-inch open prop quadcopters flew. They're small, but they are really powerful, really, well, for a 1.6-inch, they're powerful, really agile, really fun to fly. I adored them, and I can't wait to try out this one with the O4 Lite air unit in it. The last entry from FlyWoo in this roundup is this, the FlyTime 85, and this one's a little bit confusing to me. Its marketing blurb on the box says born for indoor commercial shooting, which makes you think that it's like an indoor Cinewhoop for cinematic flying, but it doesn't have the DJI O4 Pro. It's got the O4 Lite, and that means that it's going to have objectively worse image quality than the O4 Pro due to the smaller sensor and the worse lens. It still records in 4K resolution, but the actual imaging itself is just not as good. If this is made for indoor commercial shooting, you would think they would put the O4 Pro on this one, and they would save the O4 Lite for the sort of smaller, more agile, also kind of a Cinewhoop. That's the thing. Both of these guys are 85mm. Both of them are Cinewhoops with protected props and so on. So, like, what's the difference between them? Well, we'll see if we can figure it out by the end of this video. I'm a little confused at this point. But FlyWoo is not the only company to send me a couple drones to review. This is the BetaFPV Pavo Femto. I guess it's the smaller version of their Pavo Pico. And I've been hearing really good things about this. This drone has the O4 Lite in it, and it is only 75mm wheelbase with 1.6-inch props. And I think we'll find that if we compare it to the FlyWoo FlyBee, the FlyBee is going to be lighter, more powerful, more acrobatic, but the open props are going to make it less ideal for flying indoors in tight environments. The big question is going to be, number one, how acrobatic can the Pavo Femto get versus how cinematic can it get? And I guess how cinematic can the FlyBee get? Although without prop guards, I think a lot of people would rule it out for indoor work. I'm really curious about weight. So let's start with the DJI O3 Flylens 85, which comes in at 90 grams exactly, compared to the DJI O4 Flylens 85, 87 grams exactly. So it's a little bit lighter. But remember, I didn't really like how the O3 one flew. It flew okay, but not great. Whereas this Flylens 85 with the naked O3 air unit flew amazing at 79 grams. So it's not that much difference. It's like 7-8 grams, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's like 10% of the whole weight of the quadcopter, not counting the battery. Do they sell a Flylens 85 with the O4 Lite and they just didn't send it to me? Surely they do. Yeah, they do. And the weight is, 69 grams, 69 grams, compared to 79 grams for the naked O3. That thing should be a ripper. Next, let's compare the Flylens 85 with the O4 Pro at 87 grams with the FlyTimes 85. And we see that the naked weight, or the dry weight, is significantly lower for the FlyTimes 85. Sure, it's got metal and all, but overall, it's way, way lighter. The FlyBee is going to be the lightweight rockstar at just 48 grams without battery, or 83 grams with battery. It's going to be super light, super agile, like obviously. And here's the Pavo Femto at 54 grams, the ultimate lightweight rockstar. But is it going to be too light, too heavy still for its 75mm props? We don't know, and that is the sort of weight comparison. And I think that's going to be one of the main things that distinguishes these guys, is their weight, the amount of battery they can carry, the amount of thrust that they make, and so on. Well, unfortunately, I did find a major problem in the configuration of these quadcopters that has to be called out and fixed before we go and fly them. And that problem is here in the Modes tab. So these quadcopters are all running Express LRS, and Express LRS, for reasons of its own, which are kind of dumb but also kind of important, Express LRS requires that arming be on aux1, channel aux1 high. And that's because the Express LRS system wants to know when you think the quad is armed and when it's disarmed. One of the ways that it uses this is if you're doing dynamic power. When you're disarmed, it reduces the power, so it's not wasting a lot of energy. And when you arm, it raises the power. And what that means is that if this quadcopter was not set to have arm on aux1, yes, every single one of these quadcopters from Fly will have arm on aux2. And what that means is that if you were using dynamic power on your controller, you would never go to full power. You would always just get reduced range, and you'd wonder why your Express LRS system was so shitty. You're like, I'm at max power, but you're not at max power. Flywood, this is a major defect. And like, okay, like a lot of people aren't running dynamic power, and there are a couple other little things that it causes problems in Express LRS, but they're minor problems, but like there's just a way to do it, and you should do it the right way. You cannot ship Express LRS bind and flies with arm on aux2. You can't. That's just wrong. And like, surely you know that. How did this slip through? Good thing I'm here. Already we have an issue. The mounting of the camera on the Flylens 85 does not allow for literally any up tilt. How are you supposed to up tilt the camera, Flywoo? That's interesting. Like it's literally a metal bracket. Okay, fine. We're gonna fly it like that. And we're starting with the Flylens 85 because I've already flown a Flylens 85 with the O3 and the naked O3, so I kind of have a sense of how it's gonna perform. And as tempted as I am to treat it like a acro drone, because I just fly everything like an acro drone, let's try to do some cinematic-y stuff. It's not as nice a time of year as it was when I did the original video. There's no leaves on the trees, but we'll kind of take a little route through here. Oh, here's some trees with leaves on them. We'll try and do some smooth cinematic stuff. I'm not giving you any stabilization, so you can see exactly what's coming off the camera. We are flying it with the 750 milliamp hour battery. That's how we're going to start all these drones out, because that's what they come with the battery holder for. And we're just gonna, yeah. I've always been impressed by the stability. Oh God, don't put it in the tree. I've always been impressed by the stability of the Flylens 85. I've thought that it flies like a bigger, more stable quad. Like you could get really nice kind of cinematic style footage out of it. What if we try and pick up speed? What if we try and go a little faster? Oh, not a lot of power there on the climb out. I wish I had some more up tilt. 3.5 volts, we're pushing a little bit. Yeah, I wish I had more up tilt as I try to go fast. Can't really get much speed. We'll dive in here. Ooh, real nice. We can get a little speed. But like, as soon as I have to pitch forward, oh, there's some throttle. It doesn't work real good. Yeah, I wish I had more up tilt. That pretty much reminds me of flying the Flylens 85 with the full O3 air unit. Like, it felt not like heavy, but not light, not nimble either. And I really wish I could get some up tilt out of it. Although if you're focusing on cinematic flying, you're probably not gonna need too much up tilt. But like, hey, sometimes you're gonna chase a vehicle or something. Yeah, even on something this small, not a fast vehicle. So I really wish we had some up tilt there. Wonder why they didn't see fit to give us that. Next up, the FlyTimes 85. And I'm curious to see how this is gonna fly compared to the Flylens 85, since it's very similar in terms of its powertrain, but it's a little bit lighter. I can already see that the field of view is so much narrower for the O4 Lite, like so much narrower. It's gonna be fine, but like for proximity flying, freestyle racing, bleh. Let's see how it is for cinematics. It's fine. For what you would present to the viewer or the customer, it is not fine. Well, it's not ideal for actually flying with, oh, some wind. Got some wind. Let's get out of here. We'll do some of the similar flying. It definitely feels lighter, like in terms of its throttle response. I also was about to say that because the O4 Lite has single screw mounting, I was able to put a little up tilt on the camera. These guys are at max power, but for the O4 Pro, that's 1200 milliwatts, and for the O4 Lite, that's only 700 milliwatts. So I did have a little bit of orange, low signal orange, it's not red, but orange, around the corners of my screen going over there, which I didn't get with the O4 Pro, probably because of the increased output power. I do see I have a little bit of schmutz on my lens. That's a shame. I'm perfectly happy with how it's flying. I wish I could see more in the peripheral vision. It's really hard to do moves like that with the O4 Lite because you don't get the peripheral vision to kind of line it up. You kind of only see what's right in front of you. It's just barely usable, but frustrating. Let's do some more speedy acro-y moves.
This guy takes the FlyTime 85, a quadcopter which is explicitly intended for indoor cinematic flying, and he takes it outside and he flies it like an acro quad. What a freaking moron. What kind of quote unquote review even is this? I cannot believe what YouTube has come to in this lifetime. Unsub.
Handled that nicely, no prop wash or anything. Very nice. Yeah, see, I constantly feel like I'm about to crash when I'm going fast. So frustrating. Let's get on the battery, get on the throttle. Oh God, see, I can't see. Ugh. See, it's just that you can't do that stuff with the light. I mean, someone out there can. Like, obviously someone will do it, but like, it just does not feel natural. It constantly feels like you're fighting with the field of view. As soon as you start moving, as soon as you start needing to react, it's bad. It's just bad. You just can't see what's happening. It's incredibly frustrating. Windy, so windy. It's weird because this feels more acrobatic than the Flylens, probably because it's lighter, but I bet it does not crash as well because it's just got that TPU prop guard. But like, I really feel good kind of whipping it around like that. I cannot see where I'm freaking going. Fuck, man. The O4 Lite is so frustrating. There we go, got some prop wash out of it. This strangely feels more acrobatic with this. Oh, 2.5 volts. Oh God, I'm killing the battery. Why did I not land now. Oh God, I'm killing the battery. It's dead, 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 dead. Oh God. Come back, battery. Come back, battery. Come on. Oh, 0 volts. Come on, battery. 2.75 volts, 2.9 volts, 2.9, 3.0 volts, 3 volts, 3 volts, 3 volts. Whee! The next thing I want to do is test out the FlyTime in its native environment. You see, the FlyTime is intended for use in indoor shooting scenarios, and it's tended to take advantage of its ultralight weight to get longer flight time. So we're going to fly it around, well, my basement. I don't have like a big show house to fly it around. My wife and kids are upstairs anyway, and we're not going to put them on video. Also, the house is just a mess. You can't see it. We're going to fly it around the basement. We're going to see how it handles in an indoor environment. And I've run into another complaint that I have with the O4 Lite. Check this out. So I wanted to take it out of racing mode because I didn't think anybody doing indoor cinematic stuff is going to be flying in racing mode, right? It's going to lock you to 1080p 100. It's going to lock you to 4.3, and that's not what you want. So we go to transmission. Yeah, we take it out of racing mode. We got manual channel, 60 megahertz, best image quality possible. Great. So what camera settings am I going to use? What resolution? Well, with the Lite, I have the choice of 1080p 100. I can go to 1080p 120, but that actually only sends 60 FPS back to the goggles, and we have significantly increased latency. Basically sends every other frame. It records 120 FPS on the air unit, but back to the goggles it's 60 FPS, and that's going to make it hard to fly and hard to control. We don't want that. And 1080p, well, I'd really like to get a higher resolution if I'm going to do like cinematic stuff. So what do? 4K? No, because 4K also is limited to 60 FPS. If I want proper latency, I can only record at 1080p, and a lot of people doing cinematic stuff aren't going to like that. So question number 1, how does the field of view on the O4 Lite affect my ability to fly indoors? And question number 2, how does the latency? Like if I try to go, oh, the latency is horrible. And with that crash, the camera on my O4 Lite stopped working. And I went in, because I know a lot of times when you crash, the MIPI cable gets loose, and I like pushed on the MIPI cable with the tweezers to try and make sure it was plugged in securely. And I got the image to come back, and then it stayed for one flight, and then I crashed again, and it went out again, and hasn't come back since. So we will not be doing the indoor flight of the FlyTime because it's broken. Okay, now the one I'm most excited for. This is the FlyBee, and if my experience with Fly was 1.6 inches is any guide from the past, it's going to fly amazing, it's going to be acrobatic, it's going to be fun, and if my experience with the FlyTimes is any guide, I'm going to wish that it had the O4 Pro on it instead of the O4 Lite, because the field of view from the camera is going to kill me. Oh yeah, there we go. Come on, buddy. Now this is flying with a 550 milliamp hour battery, and interestingly it's not a high volt, so you could charge it to high volt, but that is not officially what they want you to do. So I didn't. And I've crashed it so many times you can't really judge the flight time. Also, I'm just flying it way harder, because again, that's what this is designed to do. And it flies good. We're seeing a little bit of shakes, which may be due to the bent props from me crashing it, perhaps. But overall, it's flying real good. Oh, there's no chance I'm getting up from that. I don't know, I'm having a little trouble with throttle control on it. I am charging these batteries out here in the field with this ViFly ToothStor. The ViFly ToothStor is well known as one of the best 1S battery chargers you can take to the field, but they have a 2S version. This is actually called the ToothStor. And you plug in the balance lead, and it charges the battery just through the balance lead, so it doesn't matter if you have an XT30 or a PH 2.0 or whatever, and charging at 1.5 amps. That's basically 2S for these batteries. Not the fastest charger in the world, but it will get her done. The reason that I'm flying so bad, I think, is that I've got all these air units set to 4K 60. And I did that because I want to show people who maybe aren't as familiar with the O4 just how good the video from the O4 can look. And I feel like if I didn't show you guys some 4K footage, I wouldn't be doing service to the air unit. But it also means the latency of the link is significantly higher. And I'm going to set it to a lower latency and lower video quality later in the video, and hopefully I start flying way better, or maybe I just suck as a pilot. I don't know. We'll have to find out later in the video. But for now, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now, the BetaFPV Pavo Femto, and I kind of don't know what to make of this. Is it like a sort of a freestyle-y micro? It seems too heavy for that. Is it a cinematic smooth flyer? It's so tiny. I guess there's only one way to find out. One pack. Everybody knows the rules. One pack. And as you can see, I have correctly charged this battery to 4.35 volts. It's a high volt battery. It's a 450 milliamp hour BetaFPV lava battery. Of course, immediately upon takeoff, it's at 4 volts, right? That's what happens. They sag, but it's higher voltage than it would be if I hadn't charged it up. Feels heavy. It feels heavy. Can I be cinematic with it? That cinematic means orbits, right? That's what cinematic means. It's not fly into the tree. Orbiting. Go through this gap like I did with the others. We'll dive down here like I did with the others. Not any like major yaw washout or prop wash on the turn, on the dive. Being smooth with it. 700 milliwatts. What's hanging in there? Oh, there we go. There's that orange, just like before. So that's the difference between the O4 Pro and the O4 Lite. Just not quite as much output power. Still hanging in there with 45 megabits per second. It's pretty freaking good. A little bit of shudder there. Not any wind right now. Literally no wind at all. The wind is perfectly calm right now. So that shudder was, I would blame that more on the tuning of the aircraft than on anything else. Let's try and go a little faster. Pick up some speed. It's definitely smaller. Like it just, maybe it's because I can hear the motors and it's psychological. It feels smaller. It's something about the throttle response. I don't know. It done the acceleration. Maybe it's not just that it's smaller, but that it's heavier, because the FlyBee is also 1.6-inch props, which I believe are the same props that are on this guy. This guy's just like not as powerful, or it's heavier. It just doesn't feel like I'm ripping it the same way as I did on the FlyBee. What if we do a power loop? Oh, big shakes, yeah. What about a dive over the trees? I mean, like, what do you expect from a 75 millimeter with this carrying an O4 Lite? It did okay there. Oh, little bit of spin up. You probably didn't see it, but I felt it in the throttle response. Just a little bit of sort of delay in the throttle as the motors shuddered in the prop wash. It's shaking and kind of fighting. Yeah. You could kind of work through it, but it just doesn't have the same kind of chops, acrobatic chops. Battery's hanging in real well, though.
Well, it's not fair to test a little 75 millimeter like this outdoors in acro flight. That's not really what it's intended for. So here is some slow, precise indoor flying of the Pavo Femto, which is really the environment it's intended for. And I've tried to fly it in such a way, like flying through this little crack here, that it really benefited from its small size. If you're trying to do a kind of flying like this, even a bigger like 85 or 95 millimeter is going to be just a little bit harder. Even if you can fit it in the gap, it's going to get sucked into the wall because of its larger props. I tried to really highlight the benefits of this little 75 millimeter and give you a sense of what you could get out of it. We do see in the low light conditions in my in my basement, that the O4 Lite is struggling a little bit with like noise in the shadows. That's just something you're going to have to deal with using the O4 Lite, and it'll be just a little bit better with the O4 Pro. I actually have a low light test in my O4 playlist that really highlights just how much better the O4 Pro is than the O4 Lite. But I think a lot of people are going to see this footage of my basement, my laundry room. But anyway, they're going to see this footage and they're going to go, okay, I've got some ideas for flights where I could use a quadcopter like this. And the Pavo Femto is the tool that solves that problem, if that's what you're looking for. But if that's not what you're looking for, you're going to get much better performance out of a bigger quad. The Flylens 85, wish it was lighter. It's so almost really good at just zip. It's okay for cinematic, but it's so almost really good for kind of zipping around without the compromise of the open props like you get on the FlyBee. It could be so good, and I know it because the naked O3 version is so good. That's a fact. Would I put the O4 Lite in it to get that weight down? Hell no, because all of the fun things I would do if it was lighter would be compromised by the field of view, which is a real deal breaker. Is it a deal breaker? Oh, it's not a deal breaker, except if you want to do like proximity flying at speed and then you just keep slamming your head against that wall. FlyTime, surprisingly nimble flyer, given that it looks like a cinematic thing with this weird prop guards. These weird prop guards kind of tend to get hung up in things though, like that branch, and there's just a little bit more snaggy, and frankly I'm not sure how much protection you're getting compared to the prop guards on something like the Flylens. Need to try it with the 1000 milliamp hour battery. We need to try it with a properly fully charged high volt 750, and I would love to see how it flies with the O4 Pro. I don't have an O4 Pro to put in it, but I do have an idea of how we could simulate that and see how it handles the weight. The FlyBee 1.6. I freaking love this thing. I knew I would because I've flown FlyBee 1.6-inch drones before. They are a freaking blast. The 2-inch one is even better. I hope they come out with a 2-inch version of this, and I hope they put the O4 Pro in it, maybe a naked version of the O4 Pro. Could you even do that? Because again, the field of view on the Lite is really a deal breaker. It's a deal breaker. I keep saying deal breaker, but I kind of don't want to say that because it's so freaking good, but it would be so much better if it had a better field of view. The open props. Well, you crash into things, it's going to fall out of the sky and you're not getting back up out of the grass. That's what it's for. Just fly better, scrub. Don't crash. And I had throttle control issues with it. I don't know if that's me. I didn't have those issues with any others, but then I wasn't flying them as fast and aggressively, so maybe that's more about me than this. I don't know, man. Like, if you absolutely have to have a 75 millimeter with an O4 in it, I guess here it is, but you're making a lot of compromises in terms of the handling, in terms of the smoothness of flight, and so on. Yes, it's a 75 millimeter with the O4 in it. I don't think you should do that. I think you should get an 85 millimeter. It's just gonna be way better. But here it is. And it wasn't terrible. I just think it would be better for an 85 millimeter. And like what are you gonna do with this? You gonna fly it around your house indoors? Yeah, you could. It's kind of heavy. It's gonna have trouble with throttle control. It's gonna, like, what is it really great at? I don't know. Now we're gonna do a little bit more rigorous testing on these. Check out the range of the Express ELRS receiver. And I've got an idea for how we can answer the question of, is it worth upgrading to the O4 Pro? FlyWoo makes, I think, all of these. I'm not sure about the FlyBee with the O4 Pro or the O4 Lite. So how much are you giving up with that additional weight in terms of the agility and handling? I've got an idea how we can test that. Hint, I'm gonna just put some extra weight on it and fly it, right? Should be easy. Before we get into that, I do want to take a second to remind you, number one, if you buy any of these, there's links down below. They are affiliate links. It means if you click that link and then you buy anything at the affiliated store, I get a little commission. It's a very easy way for you to support the channel. You take something that you were gonna buy anyway, you take the time to go find my link, or you could even just bookmark my link and just click it every time you go shopping, and then I get a little commission. Doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just they give a little bit of money to me instead of keeping it for themselves. It really means a lot when you use those affiliate links. In addition, I do want to also tell you, if you don't like doing that, you can join my Patreon. Patreon is a website where you can subscribe to me for as little as $2 a month. When you feel like I've earned your support, then you go to the Patreon link in the description below, you sign up. Every month you give me a little bit of money, and it just means I can keep doing this job, and it really means a lot. On with the video.
Next, let's talk about the range of these quadcopters. And I don't mean the range of the video system. The range of the O4 air units has been tested and established in other videos. And long story short, the O4 Pro has pretty much the best range of any video transmitter out there, short of like some ultra high powered analog video transmitters, 5, 10 watts, etc. Under most conditions that most people are going to fly in, the O4 Pro is going to win. Long story short. And the O4 Lite is not quite as good, mostly because it has only 700 milliwatts of output power, whereas the O4 Pro has 1200 milliwatts of output power, but it's still pretty good. The variable here is going to be the Express ELRS receiver, and you probably can't even see the Express ELRS receiver here. Do you see this little red enamel wire here? That's the antenna for the Express ELRS receiver on the Pavo Femto. It's built into the flight controller, and that opens up variables for the range of the receiver that we need to test. In fact, we also have to consider the mounting of the antenna. On the Pavo Femto, it's buried up here underneath the battery, whereas on the Flywoo quadcopters, it's hanging out the back. But we're not here to test the range of the Express ELRS receivers either, not exactly. What we really need to test is whether the control link can outrange the video link. And it usually will. Express ELRS will usually outrange the DJI air unit, and at that point, who cares? If you've lost video, then it doesn't matter whether your control link could have gone another 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers or whatever. Once you lose video, that's it, you're done, you're coming home. We are doing these range tests at 250 hertz, not 50 hertz. We would get more range out of 50 hertz, but it would get more latency, and a lot of people feel, including me, feel like 250 hertz is the sweet spot where you have low enough latency to not kind of feel sluggish while still getting good range. So that's just what we're gonna do. We're going to see how it compares to the O4's range. The O4 gets real far. 95 LQ. I'm watching my LQ. 97. Now LQ's hanging in there. LQ's hanging in there. Really impressive, honestly. 80, okay. LQ's starting to dip. Video's falling out. 2 megabits. Okay. So, okay. Got it. For the Flylens, Express ELRS more than kept up with the video link, even at 250 hertz. More than kept up with the video link. So the Express ELRS range can outrun the O4 Pro, which is really all you can ask. Here is the FlyTimes with a 750 milliamp hour battery, properly charged to high volt. Oh no, the result's going to be worse for the video because the O4 Lite has less output power. Oh yeah. Alright, so the O4 Lite is showing its reduced output power here compared to the O4 Pro. We knew that would happen. I'm amazed at how stable the O4's video feed stays even as it degrades. So good. It gets so blocky, and yet, oh God, stuttering, oh God, oh God. Well, I guess the Express ELRS held on. Now I have to go take a walk. The results of the tests are pretty much what you would expect. All of the quadcopters maintained basically perfect LQ, 95, 97, 98% or higher, until the O4 air unit basically lost video. I could have pushed the O4 further if I wanted to risk losing video and falling out of the sky, but I didn't feel like running down the road to pick up a downed quadcopter. So all of these Express ELRS receivers passed that test. Are they the best Express ELRS receiver you could get? Could you get better range with a different receiver? Maybe. It doesn't matter, because basically you're going to get the range out of the video link that you get, and that's going to be your limiting factor. I did notice that the range on the BetaFPV Pavo Femto, the O4 Lite, seemed to have a little bit less range than on the other two. It's just one test and it's just one sample, so I don't know how much we can extrapolate that to, but it was noticeable, and I do think it was a real result that you deserve to know about. One of the biggest questions I think we've got to answer in this video is, should you get the O4 Lite or should you get the O4 Pro? And I have complained about the field of view on the O4 Lite at length in this video, but what about the weight of the O4 Pro? How much is that going to hold one of these quadcopters back? Here's how I'm going to address that problem. I have built a stack of nickels that weighs exactly as much as the difference in weight between the O4 Lite and the O4 Pro. And I have stuck it to the bottom of this quadcopter. And we are going to fly it, and we're just going to see how it feels. Oh, and by the way, this is the part of the video where I'm also going to change off of 4K 60. We're going to go up to the maximum frame rate. I might even go to racing mode. I'm going to go to racing mode, which is going to give me the lowest possible latency. Will that change the feel too much? Will that change the feel so much that it makes the weight difference not worth it? Nah, I'm changing it. I want to actually like fly these things and have them feel decent. How much do I feel the weight? That's the question. Yeah, interesting. I can feel it, but overall, I think I would rather have the field of view of the Pro. I realize this is not a freestyle quad, but you know, little throttle punches and stuff so I can feel the weight. I think I'd rather have the field of view of the O4 Pro with this weight. This weight doesn't feel that bad, to be honest. Oh my God, the latency of 4K 60 is such garbage. Wow, this is so much better. I just fly racing mode all the time. Oh God, oh God. Okay, that was wind. That was the wind. And the flight time, well, I mean, the latency was messing me up, dude. 4K 60. Next, we're going to put the weight on the FlyBee, and this one is the one that I am most curious about. It is the one where I would most like to have the better field of view of the Pro so I can do cool acro shit, but it's also got the 1.6-inch props, so it is the one that is the least prepared to actually be able to handle the weight. And because it's trying to do cool acro shit, it's the one that will most feel the additional weight. Well, we're gonna find out. Oh yeah, I'm definitely on the throttle there. I'm definitely working the throttle a little more. Every time I like descend or make a sharp turn, I feel myself pushing. Yeah, it's not quite as snappy through that 180. And we're very quickly seeing low battery here. We're also working the battery hard. Yeah, the flight time is, I'm not like, I'm definitely flying it, but I'm not like just ravaging the throttle. How we do pulling out of a, oh yeah, I had to get on the throttle there, for sure. Probably hit like, I don't know, half throttle. The flight performance is almost passable, but it's not as good as it would be if it was lighter. I think if there's anything I've taken from this video, it has been a lowering of my esteem for the O4 Lite. When I first saw the O4 Lite, I was kind of amazed at what DJI had done, and I complained a little bit about the field of view, but generally I was so impressed with the fact that they've got the kind of range, penetration, and image quality out of such a tiny video transmitter that I didn't feel the detriments quite as much. And now some of that shine has worn off. And I've spent more time. I took the O4 Lite to a race, and I definitively did worse in the race because the field of view was so narrow that even a mediocre frickin' racer like myself couldn't see to do the turns as tight as I wanted them to do. And now I've run into that same thing here with these drones. This is a known issue. It's been documented by folks like Madstech that the connector on the camera has a tendency to break. As far as I can tell, mine isn't breaking. I don't know what's broken on mine, but the durability is not what you would normally expect from DJI, and I've run into that now. So what's the takeaway from this video? Well, one takeaway would be that if you possibly can, I recommend that you would get one of these with the O4 Pro. The O4 Pro is a better camera. It has better image quality. It has better field of view. It has more versatility in the frame rates it selects, so I could do 4K 100, and I could get that low latency without compromising on the image quality. It has 2.7K 100, so I could sort of split the difference between file size, latency, and so on, and the O4 Lite just doesn't. It's either 1080p 100, which isn't as much resolution as you might want, or it's, yeah, it just seems like whatever you try to do with the O4 Lite, you run into a reason why it's not that good at it. You want to do it for racing? Because it's ultra lightweight? Well, it's not that durable, and it has terrible field of view. You want to use it for cinematic stuff? Turns out you can only do 4K 60, not 4K 100, so you're going to be crashing into the wall a lot of the time. I don't know, I guess eventually you'll get used to it, but it's not good. It's not nice. And it has terrible field of view, so as you're flying around inside, you're kind of like having a hard time framing and everything. It has so much potential, it doesn't feel like it measures up to it. But the good news is that the FlyWoos, at least, all are available with the O4 Pro. And with the FlyTime and the Flylens, I don't think the flight performance is that much worse with the additional weight of the O4 Pro, especially the FlyTime, which is really focused not so much on acro flying and speed and responsiveness. You'll get a small reduction in flight time. And if you're trying to get that mythical sub 100 gram weight limit for Japan, I guess, that's where they have a 100 gram requirement. Then the FlyTime may not do it with the O4 Pro, but the FlyTime, not really any downside. The Flylens, still pretty good with the O4 Pro on it, although not as good as it could be. The FlyBee, though, I don't know, man. I think this one is just a case where you're asking too much from the DJI system. You could put the O4 Pro on it. I think it's going to fly badly. It's not going to have the agility and performance that you really want out of a little drone like this. But if you want a little drone like this and you want a DJI system on it, it's just hard for me to recommend the O4 Lite with all its drawbacks. And frankly, I think the same is going to be true of the Pavo Femto. If you absolutely need a 75mm drone and you want to get cinematic footage out of it, you can coax pretty decent footage out of the Pavo Femto, but it's just not going to be as good as if you were flying an 85mm or maybe even something slightly larger than that. So it'd have to be a really specific situation. That being said, BetaFPV's done a hell of a job with this. It's totally feasible as a 75mm with the O4 in it. I just think you have to give up a lot to get there. This is the part of the video where I admit that there was something that I left out. I told you I was going to leave it out, but now I'm going to fill it in. And that is the performance comparison of the O4 versus the O3 versus Walk Snail and the O4 Lite versus the O4 Pro. That's all stuff I did in another video. And if you're going to shop for these systems and you're going to choose between the O4 and some other systems, you're going to want to watch them. I'm going to put cards on screen to those videos. Actually, I think there's a playlist. I made a playlist of O4 content. All those videos are in that playlist. Card on screen to that. I hope you go check it out. I'll see you there.